Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking About Records. I am G.I. Sanders from NTX Vinyl. Happy to be here to talk about 5 vinyl record Facebook groups every collector should join. So first and foremost, if you don't do Facebook, I get it, believe me, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But hang in here because I've got a tip at the end that after I talk about these groups and the value they provide, then I'll also talk about how you could maybe get in on Facebook if you're not, because I know some people are anti-Facebook, and again, I get that, but there's a way to actually hack Facebook so that you can utilize it for only these groups and not any of the other riffraff. So that's at the end. Stay tuned. It won't take long to get there. But first and foremost, let's count down 5 groups that I believe are great communities, mostly great people, and again, they're going to provide a lot of value to you as a record collector, whether it's education, whether it's finding more records, whether it's selling records. There's a lot of different benefits these groups can have. A lot of them are very different. There's some crossover, so I'm going to kind of walk through what those looks like. And I'm going to put the links to these groups in the comments or the description, whether you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I'll make sure and list those so you can get right to them. The first group I'm going to talk about is a very simple group. It's called New Vinyl Releases. This group, I've been a member for probably, I don't know, a few months, and I've found it to be very valuable. It's a pretty sizable group. There's about 7,000 members right now, growing, I'm sure. So if you watch this well after the time that I filmed it, I'm sure it'll be larger, but it's a very simple premise. They've got a couple admins in this group who do a great job, and then everyone else piles on, and whenever anyone sees a new release announced, whether it's a variant or something that's back in stock, that's been out of stock, they post it to this group. Now, it can be stuff that is specific to artists' websites. It can be stuff that's coming from a retailer, maybe like Barnes & Noble or Urban Outfitters or Walmart or whatever like that. It can also be stuff that's coming from more exclusive retailers like Newberry Comics that does a lot of exclusives, clubs like Vinyl Me Please or Magnolia. So again, there are records coming out of everywhere right now. They're coming direct from artists, they're coming direct from labels, they come through distributors, they come to indie record stores, big box retailers, online, physical. There's too many to keep track of. So this is a group that consolidates, not all of it obviously, but a lot of it. And that's really important because these days things sell out really quickly, especially if you're a collector of limited edition stuff, different colored variants, or just artists that in general are very collectible. So if you join the New Vinyl Releases group, it'll just show you a feed and it's updated just by real people, other collectors just like you and I. They post links to the buy, whether it's a pre-order or whether it's actually available now, to all different kinds of releases. It's not contingent on genre, it's not contingent on cost or outlet or wherever it may be. It's good. It's just a great resource to keep tabs on things that are being announced. And again, it's not for you just keep scrolling, but for me as a record store owner, it's obviously great because I keep tabs on this group because it clues me into what's coming up, because again, a lot of what comes out of direct from artists or from record labels doesn't come directly to me as a store till well after. So this is a way for me to keep tabs as well as collectors on what's coming up, and especially again when it comes to limited edition stuff. So there's plenty of great discussion in the group. I found it to be very valuable in regards to the people who, especially the admins and the people who are more active in posting this stuff. There's a lot of knowledge in regards to how fast these things sell out or how collectible certain artists are and things like that. So New Vinyl Releases, that's the first one. That's a no-brainer to me. If you just want to keep tabs on what's coming up, if you collect new records versus only vintage, and you're into modern music in any way, whether it's actual new music coming out today or even just reissues, again, New Vinyl Releases is a great group to keep tabs on. Second group is called Too Many Records. This is a group founded by Matt Kessler, who has got a great YouTube channel, tons of subscribers and a great audience. This is his Facebook group. There's around 6,000 members in it right now. Very similar in regards to a lot of great people who are there just to add value and to learn about records. There are collectors that are new, there are collectors that are experienced, and it's pretty much all things vinyl. So it can be education stuff, it can be buying, it can be selling, it can be trading. A little bit of a catch-all in regards to this group, but I like the variety in it. I also like that it's not hugely overblown. I think there's definitely something to be said about quality versus quantity in some of these groups. But by and large, I've found the Too Many Records group just to be a really fun, kind of a fun group of a lot of like-minded people. Again, definitely varies from genres and eras and all that. So you're not going to get anything pigeonholed. It's not a specific group for a specific genre or era. But again, I think with Matt, who I don't know personally, we've chatted a little bit, but seems like a really great guy who does a really great job of curating his channel and his group as well as his record label, with just really passionate about records. And I think that flows through in the Too Many Records group. So I've had a really good experience there, whether it was just chatting with people about records. I've sold some records there, bought some records there. So again, another good resource in your feed that will key in on hot topics, ongoing discussion, sales, new releases. Like I said, a little bit of everything in Too Many Records, but some variety is always nice. So it differs from new vinyl releases in that there's more discussion and there's more opinions and there's more education, but that's a great thing. And I think Too Many Records is doing a great job at that, and I applaud Matt for all the work he's doing. The number 3 group that I will highly encourage you to join as a record collector is called TOVAG. Well, okay, it's an acronym. It's not actually called TOVAG, but I think that's what I call it because it stands for the Original Vinyl Auction Group, right? So this is almost strictly for vinyl auctions. Now, I'm sure you're probably thinking eBay, but this is not eBay. These are vinyl record auctions done on Facebook, and they are done all via comments. If you've never been a part of this, it's very simple. Someone, anybody, an individual, a store owner has a record or records to sell. They post it, photos of it. They talk about the condition of it. If it's vintage, obviously, if it's sealed. They create a starting price, so it may start at $1, it may start at $50, and they say, hey, this auction is going to end in 24 hours. They're only 24-hour auctions, which is kind of cool. So it's not something like eBay where you can be bidding on something and you got to wait 7 or 10 days for it to end. The other thing that's cool is there's much smaller people, a much smaller amount of people. There's 14,000 people in this group, as opposed to, again, if you're going on eBay to try and bid on something, you know, there can be hundreds or thousands of viewers all across the world that are looking at this. Where TOVAG, it's a much smaller audience of people, so it's not quite as competitive from a buyer standpoint. It can also be really beneficial from a seller standpoint. I've sold a ton of records on TOVAG. I've also bought plenty of records on TOVAG. By and large, very friendly community. The admins do a great job of checks and balances, which has to be there when you're talking about money exchanging hands. It's all done very securely, so everything is done via PayPal goods and services. So everyone trusts the fact that if you're paying via PayPal goods and services, that you're going to receive your item, you're going to receive it in the correct condition, and if not, you can always fall back on PayPal. And the admins do a great job of checks and balances and making sure that the sellers who are selling there are reputable and that they stand behind their product. So if you're looking for a new kind of buying experience, I would recommend checking it out. There can be everything up from new releases that just came out that are brand new and sealed to very rare and hard to find records. There can also be bargain records. I sometimes will go on there and put up lots of vinyl. When I say lots, I mean like a lot, a stack of 10 or 15 records, maybe by a particular artist, just to kind of offload them, and people get a great deal for that type of stuff. So there definitely can be some good deals to have. It can get competitive when the stuff's more rare, but again, it's great because they're short. It's right in your feed. You don't have to go elsewhere. You don't have to go to an auction site, to an eBay or whatever. And you can wheel and deal on TOVAG and try and win some auctions on some great records. So I definitely recommend checking it out if you like to shop online and like to try new things in regard to that experience. So the Original Vinyl Auction Group, check that out. Again, the links will be in the comments or in the description. Number 4 on the list. We talked about quality versus quantity a little bit. This is actually more of a quantity play in my mind. Number 4 on the list is the Vinyl Collectors and Trading Group. There's about 30,000 members in this group right now, so that's a lot of people. That's a big group. And to me, I think that's where the value comes in. So when I've got something that I want to ask a question about, or maybe it's something I want to sell, there can be strength in numbers, right? And that's really important as it pertains to this group. It's also a great community. I've always found it very productive and efficient when I do want to know something or have a question or want an opinion, or when I'm selling or buying something like that. But yeah, just another valuable place with a large contingency of vinyl enthusiasts. There's kind of an audiophile component to this group. There's also new collectors in this group. So again, it runs the gamut. You can buy, sell, trade, discuss all across the board. But I think the key for them is the longevity. The vinyl collectors and trading group has been around as long as I've been doing vinyl groups on Facebook, and a lot of value there in regards to the numbers. I've posted recently on there. I had questions about my shop and if there were other similar shops to mine, and man, there were hundreds of responses from all across the country and even some internationally of people chiming in, giving me feedback on what I'm doing as a store owner. I've done the same thing from a buying perspective. There's a lot of discussion around quality of vinyl, of packaging of vinyl, of the vinyl industry in at large. And so again, just a very broad group that I think if you're looking for kind of strength in numbers, it's a great group to go with, so I definitely recommend checking that out. Last but not least, I'm not going to go much further without mentioning my group, which is called Now Spinning. So this is self-serving, but I truly do believe it's one of the best vinyl groups on Facebook. Now Spinning is pretty new. We've been at it, I want to say less than a year. It's small. It's only 1,000 members compared to a lot of these other groups. And again, I think just like there can be strength in quantity, there can be strength in quality. The unique identifier to Now Spinning is that there's no buying and no selling other than from the sponsor, NTX Vinyl. We do some exclusive sales sporadically throughout the group. But 99.9% of everything that goes on in Now Spinning is exactly that. It's show us what you're into. Show us what you're spinning. Show us what you're playing. It doesn't have to be a vinyl. It can be, doesn't have to be a record. It can be an 8-track or a cassette or a CD, or you can stream it and take a screenshot, whatever it may be. The whole point is that it's a place for you to share what you're into. It's share your passion, share your rare records, share records you just found, records you just bought. It's a really supportive community. We have had nothing but praise in regards to the feedback on the community and the inclusiveness and the amount of respect that goes on within Now Spinning. So when I think about what sets it apart from a lot of other groups, one is that it's got a direct purpose of people just displaying their passion, whether it be photos or talking. You can ask questions, and there's plenty of discussion, obviously, about records. But the real driver is just like, hey, what's on your turntable? Show it off. Tell us why you love it. Tell us what's great about that record. So it's a great place to discover new music. And when I say new, I mean maybe that's old and you just haven't heard about it, or maybe it's brand new and just came out. There's also a ton of feedback in regards to education for new collectors, old collectors, about how to organize your collection, how to clean records, how to store records. There's all kinds of discussion around those types of things. So there's a lot of value there. And then we also, if you're local to my shop and to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we actually do like happy hour events, which is really cool. I mentioned that NTX is going to start doing some special kind of exclusive offers within the group. We do a member feature where we'll call out a member who's been really active in the group, and we'll ask them like a Q&A. That way everyone gets to know each other a little better. It's just a really great place to hang out, and the feedback we've had on it has been absolutely off the charts since we started this group. Most importantly, I think the thing that drives it is the daily challenge. So every single day, our admin rock star, Rex Burks, he will post a daily challenge, and that has really fueled a ton of the activity because everyone loves the daily challenge and they look forward to it each day. And so it might be like, hey, spin a record from 1980. Spin a record that is rooted in blues. Spin a record that is from the Columbia label. It's all across the board. Rex does an amazing job curating these ideas for the daily challenge, and that really drives a lot of the activity. So everyone rallies around that, and again, it's just a really respectful place. So if you haven't checked out Now Spinning, again, the link's going to be in the comments in the description. So I mentioned a tip. If you're not on Facebook and you hung out this long, well, obviously maybe you're thinking about maybe this is worth it. I've been a Facebook user since it was created. from a consumer standpoint, many, many years. I was very inactive on Facebook and still am personally, as far as posting for my personal profiles and that types of thing. And especially in recent years, I think it's become a place that can be a lot more controversial and annoying than productive. And so what I ended up doing just a couple years ago, around the same time I started NTX Vinyl, is I came to the realization that I can't run a small business without Facebook. It is essential. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you have to be on those channels. You have to utilize them as an outlet for content. And I love that. I love that part of Facebook. What I don't love about Facebook is all of the noise. All the noise from other businesses, from friends and family, from acquaintances, from people I don't really know that somehow got in my feed at some point. So what I did is I over-indexed on these groups and many, many others. There are hundreds of Facebook groups dedicated to vinyl records. This is just a handful that I picked out that are my favorites. But what you can do is you can join these groups and then you can unfollow all that other garbage, and it works. Facebook will play in your favor. So what I do is, people friend me all the time personally, and that's great. I accept the request. I wait. Inevitably, something will pop up in my feed from that person. I just unfollow them, keep them as a friend. They don't know, but I will never see anything from that person again, and I never see anything from anybody on Facebook that I actually know, unless it's in one of these groups or any of the other groups that I manage. So what I ended up doing was I turned Facebook from a place to keep up with friends and family and politics and all the other stuff that comes along with Facebook. I squashed all that and I turned it into an endless feed of records. Buying, selling, educating, learning, promoting, all things to do with not only my business, NTX Vinyl, but also just with the hobby of record collecting in general. And so that has made it to where I don't feel so bad about being on Facebook, because now when I go on and I'm scrolling my feed, I'm doing it because it either pertains to what I love in collecting or it pertains to my business that I'm building. And so it's taken my experience with Facebook and just really done a 180 with it over the last couple years. And so if you're anti-Facebook or you're just not that active on it because of those reasons I mentioned, try it out. Go unfollow every single person you know. True story, I've done it. Go join a couple groups, get active in those groups. And when I say active, I mean even just by looking at them, Facebook recognizes that as active, and then it'll start to prioritize more of that content for you. And groups can be really engaging, and Facebook loves to prioritize groups because they're very community based. So if you go interact in a couple of these groups, it's going to continue to serve up more info from these groups. And that will then turn your feed into exactly what I'm talking about, just the ability to just learn more about records, see more records, get inspired by what other people are collecting, learn about new music. There's a world of information and a world of knowledge, and a ton of fun to be had on Facebook if you cater it to what you love and not all the other noise. And what I love is records, and so that's what I've done. And so these 5 groups would be ones I'd recommend starting with. There's a lot of other great ones, but again, I would start with these and you kind of can branch off from there. If you end up doing that, let me know. I'd love to hear your experience, or maybe you've already done something similar. It has worked wonders for me, and again, it has really propelled me as a collector and propelled my business in a lot of ways, and so I highly recommend it. Let me know what you think of these groups. Go join them, go check them out. Give me some feedback on the video, and let me know how your Facebook experiment goes. I would love to hear in the comments if that's something that you've already done, or you might actually try out, because it's worked really well for me. So thanks for listening to another episode of Talking About Records. G.I. Sanders, NTX Vinyl. We'll see you next time.